So, a lot of people have already sold their Surging Sparks booster boxes. Some people have sold all, some people have just sold some. And honestly, either way, I can't really blame any of these people for wanting to sell now because this is the first Scarlet and Violet era booster box that we've seen double in price in just a couple of months. So, to make that sort of money this quickly in Pokemon is not that common. So, people that just want to make money quickly and just flip these, I can't blame anyone for doing that. However, I want to make this video to ask you a question. If you are planning to sell these booster boxes or you have already sold them, why did you sell them? So there's a few reasons I can think of. One just being that you want to just flip these and just take profits to use money for whatever you got going on in your life. Sure, if you want to do that, make some money, that makes sense. Another reason might just be you want to take profits to buy other products, like you want to buy maybe some Temporal Forces booster boxes, maybe you want to buy some Paldea Evolved booster boxes. That's not a bad idea at all, and honestly, that's probably a pretty smart idea. But then, the last reason, the reason why I'm making this video is to talk about this last point, and I see a lot of people doing this sort of strategy, where since these booster boxes have now doubled in value, people are wanting to take profits, and taking profits now because people are anticipating that Surging Sparks is going to get this huge reprint, and these are going to crash to $100, $120. There's some people that are taking profits because they're anticipating a reprint, and I really want to talk about that today because I have experience trying to do this and it didn't work out. So, back then, like 2 years ago, it was either 2 or 3 years ago, Evolving Skies. I've told this story before on my channel, but now I haven't told it in a while and there's a lot of new people, so I'll explain what happened. Back then, Evolving Skies, at this time, I had around 10 Evolving Skies booster boxes. My average cost was like $140. So these went up crazy in just a few months. It went up from $140 to like $220 in just a few months. And at this time, I was very new to this whole investing thing. And I heard people calling for a reprint to happen. I heard a lot of people saying this is the time when things usually get reprinted. So what did I do? I sold them anticipating for a reprint because at the time, I was able to make a little bit of money, selling them. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make some money here. And then when the big reprint happens, whatever, I'm going to buy back in. However, that reprint never really came. And, it was until later when a small reprint happened, but it did nothing to the price. And I never bought back into Evolving Skies booster boxes because it kept going up. Even with these small reprints that we had, it never came down. And I never bought back in. And that's why I have 0 Evolving Skies booster boxes. So I have personal experience doing this sort of strategy with, timing reprints, selling products for profit and waiting for it to come back and get reprinted. It doesn't always work. Now, I'm not saying this, Surging Sparks is not going to get reprinted. I 100% think it's going to get reprinted. Like, it's going to happen. However, you got to understand this. You cannot predict how big the reprint's going to be. You don't know. Like, we don't know any of this stuff. So, people that are selling all of their Surging Sparks booster boxes are planning on doing that. I would say to maybe rethink about that strategy. I think a better strategy would be to maybe sell some and keep some. I think that's always a good strategy if you don't really know what's going to happen. And especially when we have a very popular product like Surging Sparks, if these booster boxes, let's say these booster boxes don't get printed into the ground like some people think, these boxes are going to continue to move. So you don't want to, sell everything now, take all your profits, wait for the reprint to happen. And let's say this reprint does nothing or just barely does anything to the price and they just quickly go back up. Then you kind of, messed up. So hopefully you guys, out there that maybe have sold your Surging Sparks booster boxes, hopefully you just sold some and you still have some. Because selling all, to just time a reprint is very risky. And I told you guys, I have personal experience doing that earlier on, like 2 years ago with Evolving Skies. And it still hurts me to this day. So it's coming from a person who did that. So really, if you want to take profits, it's perfectly fine. But to time a reprint, I would say, is pretty risky. And once again, I want to do some math here. A lot of people, are new to this investing thing. Some people have never sold anything. And especially if you're selling online like eBay, you're gonna get hit with fees. And that's a huge thing because, on paper, if you look, you maybe bought a booster box for $100 and now it's $200, you doubled your money. But you really didn't because there's fees. And fees is a big thing that people don't think about, because if you're planning, let's say, to time this reprint to sell now, take profits, and then buy back in, you're not going to make as much money as you think. So you got to really see and do the math to see how cheap these booster boxes need to get for on this reprint that's going to happen in the future for it to be worth it to sell now. Now, maybe that doesn't make sense. I don't know if I'm explaining things well here, but let me do the math for you guys, and hopefully at the end you can understand what I'm trying to say here. So we're going to assume, and I know some people out there told me that I should, pull up an eBay, fee calculator. I've checked them online. It's hard to explain like the math going on, so I like to do it individually here. So if you've never sold anything on eBay, bear with me, try to follow along, and I'm going to explain to you guys how these fees work, because I've sold on eBay recently. So I'm going to show you guys how the fees work when you sell on eBay. So we're going to assume that you sold, or that you bought these booster boxes at $100. Not a lot of people got them for $100, but I'm assuming you got them at pretty much the lowest price you could have gotten them for. Now, you sold or you bought at $100, right? You have to pay taxes, because taxes is a thing. So this is going to be your actual cost for the booster box, $107. Now, let's say you sell at market price today at $210. So you have to add tax, which I'm just assuming here it's 7% just to keep it easy. You have to take tax into a consideration with eBay fees, because eBay does, take fees with the sales tax. It doesn't make any sense, but that's how it works. So then the fees that you'd be paying on is from $224.70. So this is what you're taking, the 13.25% fee from eBay. You're taking it from this number. So now you're ended up with $194.93. And that's not even your money yet. You have to deduct the taxes that, obviously doesn't go to you. It's sales tax. It goes to the state. So this is what you're really, ending up with after all the fees. You're ending up with $180.23. But you're not even done there, because you have to pay shipping. So shipping, it's going to be $5 for a booster box. So this is your actual, money that you actually made. So this is your total final, amount that you're making. And if you do the math, you can see here, if you subtract it from your original cost, this is your profit, $68.23. That's really good. Obviously, if you only held for a month or so, this is really good that you're able to make this much on each booster box. But I want to emphasize this number here, because this is the number, this is the amount that you made from selling this booster box after all the fees. So if you think about it that way, reprints, right? For this booster box, whenever it gets reprinted or whatever, if this booster box, that's now what the market price is, $210, when it gets reprinted, if it does not go below $175.23, if it does not go below that, you are actually paying more for the booster box. Because like I said, this is how much you're making. So that means if it's less than what you're making, obviously you're making a profit and it was worth selling. But if the booster box, it gets reprinted and it's above this amount, you're paying more for the booster box. So this is where it's like risk and reward. Let's say these booster boxes, they get reprinted. Let's say by the time it gets reprinted, it's maybe what, 220, 230, whatever. If it goes to like 120, you made like $50 on each booster box and you can buy back in. Then that's great, right? But if that doesn't happen, let's say the reprint's not big, or maybe it's just moderate. Let's say from 220s, 230s, because I don't know how expensive the booster box is going to be when it actually gets reprinted. That's a huge thing. Like if it's only maybe, let's say it drops to like 160, 170. On each booster box, you would be making like $10, $15. So like, was it even worth it to do all the money or all the work to make $10, $15 on each booster box, because you had to buy it, you had to package it, and then you're buying again? Like, is it really worth it? So it becomes a question of risk and reward to sell right now, because we don't know how big this reprint is. And obviously, like I said, a good strategy could be to just sell some and keep some, because you don't know where these prices are going to end up when this gets reprinted. And if you were to sell all now, and let's say the reprint isn't that big, you might end up paying more for the booster box, because if it doesn't go to like low 100s, like you're going to be paying more. And I think a lot of people don't also understand this, is that when things get reprinted and booster boxes are really expensive, like Surging Sparks, sometimes, or most of the time, distributors, they charge these stores more. So it's not like these booster boxes are going to most likely not drop to $100 or below. Like that's probably not going to happen because these distributors are going to charge more to these stores because they know how expensive these booster boxes are. So I wanted to go over this, math again today. I've made videos like this in the past where I try to do this sort of thing, and some people, I don't know, maybe math is a hard thing, but some people don't follow along with what I'm trying to get at here. But it's all about risk and reward. If you're able to make this much after all the fees and taxes or whatever, when it gets reprinted, is it going to be cheaper than this? Because if not, you're going to actually be paying more. So that's why for me, it's like I'm not going to be selling the majority of my booster boxes. Yeah, at a certain point, I might take some profits and sell some off. But other than that, I'm not like one of those people that's just going to sell all of them and just wait for this big reprint because we just don't know about the future. So, like I said, a very good strategy. Buy some or keep some and sell some. That's honestly the strategy that I would advise you if you're planning on selling. I really wouldn't sell all. This huge reprint, honestly, we really haven't seen a huge booster box reprint from Scarlet and Violet, maybe other than Scarlet and Violet base. But other than that, with, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, like, those are not that big. And we saw the prices basically do nothing. Like, maybe they dropped $5, $10. But that's like nothing. It is possible, though, that Surging Sparks is the first booster box we've seen go to these prices. Maybe this is the one they reprint to the ground. It's possible. But like I said, it's all about risk and reward, about selling right now. And like I said, just selling all right now doesn't really make a lot of sense. And especially, we're not going to get reprints for like another few months at least because this set's only a month old. So I really think it's going to continue to go up in at least the next couple of months. So personally, me, if you're asking, am I going to sell? I'm not. But in a couple months here, maybe I'll sell some if they go up. But yeah, just want to talk about this math thing again. I know, hopefully I do a good job explaining this stuff to you guys, but sometimes when I make these videos doing this sort of thing, people don't really follow along, and I can see that in the comments, like people really aren't like engaged with the video. So let me know down in the comments below what your strategy is with these Surging Sparks booster boxes. Have you already sold, taking profits? Are you going to buy back in on the big reprint? Like, what is your strategy? Let me know down in the comments below. So hopefully this video you found helpful because I think a lot of people need to know how like the fees work with eBay because most people are going to sell on eBay. Facebook Marketplace is great and all, but from my experience, you waste a lot of time dealing with just people that aren't serious. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.